Hello, and welcome to Kloeker Education Foundation, where we provide quality content for amazing teachers and students. If you're joining us from our previous video on the private enterprise system, welcome back. If this is your first time, we're glad you're here. This is our Intro to Business series, and this lesson is on government and business. Let's dive in. We have two objectives in this lesson: to describe how government is involved in business, and explain ways in which government regulates business and business activities. So to describe how government is involved in business, you might be thinking, so what? Now, we often don't think about government regulation, but at a fast food restaurant, imagine, if you will, you own a hamburger restaurant, similar to McDonald's, Whataburger, In-N-Out, Dairy Queen. Your fast food hamburger restaurant is subject to over 40,000 government regulations. Everything from finance, taxation, to health and safety. Government plays an important role in private enterprise, and failure to adhere to regulations may result in your business being closed. Now, government's original intention was to protect businesses, protect business property through, of course, fire departments, police departments, and the military, protect business intellectual property through trademarks, copyrights, and patents, to enforce business contracts, and to settle business disagreements. They also set and collect taxes as well as tariffs. These are extra taxes placed on imported goods and imported products to promote the sale of American-made goods, products, and services. Now, why has the government's role changed? Well, with the growth and expansion of our nation, more and different kinds of businesses are created, especially as technology continues to innovate. Consumers needed things businesses couldn't necessarily provide. Industrialization has also played a major role in the change of government. As more factories were built, factories were not always fair to workers or to competitors in the business competition. So their attitude changed. Environmental concerns have popped up for regulating and stopping pollution, to conserve natural resources and the environment through acts like the Clean Air Act and Clean Water Act passed in the 1970s. And government has taken a step in business. The government produces goods and services for the consumer. For example, the U.S. Postal Service or Amtrak are both goods and services. And there has been massive changes in technologies since the start of our nation. Now, the purpose of the involvement of government is to provide public goods. Public goods being goods and services that we can all use. They cannot be withheld from people who don't help to pay for them. Things such as police protection, protection from or with the fire department, and public education, as well as national defense. They are also there to improve public welfare for the benefit of people who are unable to provide for themselves through programs like food stamps, Social Security, and unemployment compensation. Government is also involved to protect public health by testing food, drugs, and cosmetics to make sure they are safe through programs like the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act, to treat waters that supply and feed our communities, to inspect restaurants to make sure they are adhering to safety and health standards. The government is there to stabilize the economy through monetary policy, programs like FDIC, the Treasury, and the IRS, and through this they will control the amount of money that is in circulation impacting inflation, control the level of interest rates, and through fiscal policy, through the level of government spending and the level of government taxation. Government is there to protect specific businesses, such as supporting them with price or providing subsidies, helping to conserve the environment. Now you might be asking, well, why would the government step in for price supports and subsidies, where the government would give a business money to continue to run? One might think, if a business can't make money, they should go out. They should close and no longer be in business. And you might be right, except for the fact that most of the agriculture in the United States is grown at a deficit, and farmers do not make much money, if any, without government subsidies. Therefore, there would not be any food to feed the 400 million people in our lovely nation. Government is there to protect consumers and investors, for example, with laws prohibiting false advertising, laws that set building safety standards to prevent catastrophes, laws that regulate accounting and bookkeeping, so that way when you go to your bank and the bank says you have $100, they have your $100 in the bank. They're there to protect competition by banning major monopolies like the Sherman Antitrust Act, which we talked about in previous lessons, by regulating natural monopolies or good trust. The government is there to regulate the workplace, minimize the hazards to the worker to make sure that workers are not put in dangerous situations without fair compensation, to set a minimum wage, to make sure that employees have a standard of living. Government is also there to protect business property, and this is of course through zoning laws with industrial, commercial, and residential, copyright laws, trademarks, and patents to protect companies' intellectual property, and the police, fire department, and military to protect everyone's physical property. Government is involved in business in a lot of ways. And now we're going to go into a little bit of depth to explain how government regulates business. The government may pass regulatory laws which prohibit some activities. They may control some activities or set some requirements. For example, the making, selling of alcohol. They may set laws on when a company or business can sell that, who they can sell it to, etc. The government can establish regulatory agencies to monitor businesses that they are making sure they follow the laws and regulations, such as the FDA, the FCC, the USDA. They may impose fines on these businesses if they do not follow the laws and may even close said business. The government is also involved in licensing, issuing a permit for a person or a business to function in the marketplace. For example, a real estate agent must have a license to show they are knowledgeable and certified in real estate laws. Doctors, lawyers, police officers, teachers all must have license to prove they are capable of the job as they provide a public good or service. Individuals may need a driver's license or a hunting and fishing license to function in the marketplace. The government can deny or cancel a license if necessary. The government can also regulate businesses through wages and price controls. Government sets ceilings on wages and prices. However, it has only been used in times of national crisis, such as FDR during World War II, freezing wages and prices on the majority of products, and Nixon, who passed a 90-day wage and price freeze during the 70s. Now, regulation can have positive effects. Businesses are protected, businesses have fair access to resources, and businesses have clear rules that they must follow. There are also negative effects, such as expenses on both the government and the business, and the inefficiency for dealing with the government bureaucracy. Now, the cost of regulation, the government, of course, pays these by collecting taxes, and it may have to borrow money from the private sector, or by issuing bonds. A bond is when the government will sell effectively a loan to an individual. The government will put these in the marketplace. An individual will buy it for a set period of time, and at the end of that set period of time, at the end of the bond, the government will pay them back in full with interest. Now let's take these ideas and principles and apply them to something we might be familiar with. Now, what laws does your hometown and your community have in place to regulate business? How do they affect your place of employment? How do they impact your school? Your parents and guardians have jobs. How are their jobs impacted by government regulation? Think about your favorite shop and restaurant. How are they impacted by regulation? So turn and talk to a neighbor and ask, what are the purposes of these laws and regulations? Discuss what your thoughts are and your findings. Now let's take these ideas and this information and apply it to a scenario so we can continue to build strong ethics and character in business through the gray zone. Zoning laws vary from state to state and town to town. Some towns and cities are very strict, some have mild restrictions, and some have zero restrictions, such as Houston, Texas. In some instances, zoning laws may permit businesses such as adult bookstores, pawn shops, or tattoo parlors to open in certain districts. Other business owners in this district may not want this to happen. They may protest or take other actions to prevent new businesses from opening. What do you think? Jot down your answer on some paper or turn and talk to your neighbor. If it's legal for a business to open, do other business owners in the area have a right to try and keep it from happening? Does the type of business being open impact your decision? That wraps up our lessons, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check us out on Teachers Pay Teachers, YouTube, Rumble, and the Kloeker Education Foundation website. Our next lesson on economic systems is just a click away. I'll see you there.